Today is Wednesday, November 20th. What to know about President-elect Trump's newest choices for his cabinet, including a celebrity doctor, a former pro wrestling executive, and more. And why allegations against Trump's attorney general pick might be made public even if the ethics committee decides not to release its report. Plus, what could be one of the strongest storms to hit the northwestern U.S. in decades, how Instagram plans to let you reset the recommendations on your feed, and what to expect during country music's biggest night. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President-elect Trump has tapped more Washington outsiders for roles in his second administration. One of the latest picks is for his Secretary of Education. For that role, he chose billionaire professional wrestling mogul Linda McMahon. She led the Small Business Administration for a couple years during Trump's first term. She served on the Connecticut Board of Education for 1 year starting in 2009. Other than that, she doesn't have experience overseeing education policy, but she has spoken about her support for charter schools and school choice. Another one of Trump's recent picks, celebrity physician Dr. Mehmet Oz as administrator for the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's the agency that oversees health insurance programs for millions of older, lower-income, and disabled Americans. Trump says Dr. Oz will be tasked with rooting out fraud and waste within the agency. Then there's Trump's pick for the leader of the Commerce Department. For that position, he chose Wall Street executive Howard Lutnick. If confirmed, he'll be in charge of raising and enforcing tariffs, funding new computer chip factories, releasing economic data, and a lot more. Of course, none of these picks are official. They'll all have to be formally nominated after Trump's second inauguration and then survive Senate confirmation hearings. President-elect Trump's attorney general pick may soon have to answer a lot more questions about the allegations he's been facing. We're talking about former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who has been accused of sexual misconduct, illegal drug use, and more. The House Ethics Committee that's been investigating Gaetz is meeting today to talk about whether to release its findings. And even if the committee decides not to, some of the details might come out anyway. And that's because the New York Times and CBS News have cited sources who say a hacker was able to get a hold of legal depositions from the case. For example, testimony from the woman Gaetz is accused of having sex with when she was just 17 years old, as well as other witness statements, photos, and evidence. But at this point, it's not clear who the hacker is or what their motivations may be, and none of it has been made public yet. Another way more details could come to light, a nonpartisan watchdog group called American Oversight sued the U.S. Justice Department to get documents related to its separate investigation into the congressman. Whether the investigations become public or not, the accusations are expected to weigh on senators who have to decide whether or not to confirm Gaetz as the AG. Some Republicans in the Senate say they've been hearing from Gaetz and the Trump team this week, apparently asking for a chance to, quote, clear the air. Remember, Gaetz has always said he did nothing wrong. And the Trump transition team is still standing by Gaetz as the pick for Attorney General, calling him the right man for the job. So, to be continued. President-elect Trump may not be sentenced in the hush money case for another 4 years, if at all. New York prosecutors suggested in a court filing they're open to postponing Trump's sentencing until 2029 after his second presidential term ends. They acknowledged the demands and obligations of the presidency and said Trump's White House return presents unprecedented legal questions. Remember, Trump will be the first convicted felon to be president. He was convicted on 34 felony counts in New York for falsifying business records related to a 2016 hush money payment. But he's avoided potential consequences, possibly even jail, by winning re-election. Now, prosecutors stress they don't want to dismiss the case altogether, pointing to a jury's decision to convict him. But throwing out the case is exactly what Trump's legal team is pushing for, and they want Trump to get a new trial. They're already calling the delays so far a total victory for Trump. At this point, no final decision on next steps has been made. Ukraine's military has now officially launched American-made long-range missiles into Russia for the first time. The attack came on the 1,000th day of war between the two countries, and just days after President Biden changed U.S. policy and gave Ukraine the go-ahead to use U.S.-supplied missiles against military targets inside Russia. It also came the same day Russian President Vladimir Putin lowered Russia's threshold for the use of nuclear weapons, seemingly timed to act as a warning to the West. Putin has been saying this type of strike would be taken as an attack by NATO. At this point, though, the White House said it has not seen any changes to Russia's nuclear posture and played down Putin's warnings. Ukraine's strike apparently targeted an ammunition storage facility in southwestern Russia. Russian officials claim to have shot down 5 of the 6 missiles, and no injuries were reported. A powerful storm has started pounding the northwestern U.S., and it could end up being one of the strongest storms to hit that part of the country in decades. It's bringing heavy rainfall, mountain snow, and hurricane-force winds to parts of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. Already, trees have been toppled and power has been knocked out, but this storm is expected to get even more intense today and could last until the end of the week. So the National Weather Service is now warning of possible flooding and landslides. By the way, long-term forecasts show this could be the start of an especially active winter season across the Northwest. So stay tuned. All right, we have even more news for you still coming up. But first, thanks to our sponsor, SKIMS. If you are ready to get into the holiday spirit, go check out the SKIMS Holiday Shop. I love that they have so many options for everyone on your list. And it's one of those gifts that is going to keep on giving, because every time your loved one wears these items, it will feel like self-care. Like the cozy robe, I have this myself, and it's honestly so soft and comfortable, kind of feels like a warm hug getting out of the shower. So yes, I think you should treat yourself to this robe as well. And then I'll definitely be wearing my soft lounge sleep set all season long. You've maybe heard me talk about this one before because I've loved wearing this sleep set for a while, but now I have the seasonal red color set and I love it even more. It's so fun, and it's something you can match with the whole family if you want to for cute holiday pictures. Shop SKIMS Holiday Shop at skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Okay, now back to the news. President-elect Donald Trump showed up to watch SpaceX run its 6th test launch of the world's most powerful rocket. It was another opportunity for Trump to highlight his bond with Elon Musk, as in SpaceX's founder, a major federal government contractor, and one of Trump's highest-profile supporters. Trump also recently named Musk one of his 2 government efficiency czars. As for the SpaceX rocket test itself, the Super Heavy Starship launched successfully, but flight engineers decided not to return the rocket booster to Earth as originally planned, though they didn't say what exactly went wrong. Reusing Super Heavy boosters is part of SpaceX's plan to reduce the massive cost of long space missions. But the rest of the Starship continued on its journey, testing new safety features before a controlled splashdown in the Indian Ocean. SpaceX intends to eventually use this Super Heavy Starship rocket to take astronauts to the moon and eventually Mars. A major change is coming for popular cable networks like CNBC, E!, Oxygen, The Golf Channel, USA, and more. They'll become part of a new company that generates $7 billion a year in revenue. For now, Comcast owns those networks under the NBC Universal umbrella, but reports say Comcast plans to spin them off into a new brand. Comcast originally bought the NBC Universal portfolio in 2011, before streaming platforms started an era of cord cutting that led to fewer cable viewers. Now, Comcast says creating a more focused company with its own CEO will better support the collection of channels. One major network staying with Comcast, though, is Bravo, which airs the successful Real Housewives franchises. And both the Peacock streaming service and NBC network will remain under Comcast's control. The new company, though, will be owned by current Comcast shareholders, and the move will take about a year to finalize. For the first time, Instagram users will be able to cleanse or reset their algorithms for a sort of fresh start on what type of content they see. Instagram said the reset will apply to content that shows up in the Explore, Reels, and Feed tabs. The company also said it designed the feature in part to make sure teenagers don't see inappropriate content. But anyone who wants to refresh what they see on the platform will soon be able to do so with just a few taps. That said, the reset does not stop tracking what people engage with. It's just that user preferences will start to build up again from scratch. Instagram has not yet said exactly when this feature will be available to everyone. The Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight that streamed live on Netflix has set another record. Paul's promotion company says it brought in more revenue than any fight held outside of Las Vegas ever. The gate total at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, came to $18.1 million, doubling the previous record holder. It was the 9th highest gate total ever for combat sports when including Vegas. Tyson Paul was already the most streamed live sporting event in history, with 65 million streams at the same time. And speaking of record setters, tennis legend Rafael Nadal has played his last match. The Spanish national team lost to the Netherlands in the quarterfinals of the Davis Cup, with Nadal losing a singles match to his Dutch opponent. Nadal already said he would retire after the Davis Cup. A ceremony honored the 22-time Grand Slam champion after the match, when a tearful Nadal called himself very lucky. Nadal famously won the French Open a record 14 times and leaves tennis as one of the sport's all-time greats. Tonight marks country music's biggest night, the CMA Awards. But they're already stirring up some controversy ever since the nominations were announced, with what some people have called a Beyoncé snub. Beyoncé became the first Black woman to top Billboard's country albums chart with this year's Cowboy Carter, but did not receive any CMA nominations. As for those who are being recognized tonight, Morgan Wallen leads the nominations with 7. He's followed by Chris Stapleton and Cody Johnson, who each got 5 nods. A trio of stars will host the show, with last year's co-hosts, former NFL quarterback Peyton Manning, and country music star Luke Bryan returning. They'll be joined by country star Lainey Wilson, who's also nominated for 4 awards. Performances are expected from Jelly Roll, Luke Combs, Casey Musgraves, and many more. The show starts at 8 Eastern on ABC. And that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, a quick break. Before my kiddo started preschool, I wanted to start giving him a vitamin to help support his immunity, energy, brain function, mood, his developing body, and more. And after doing a lot of my own research, I chose Hiya. And to be clear, I chose Hiya even before I knew they would sponsor this podcast. More than a year and a half later, I continue to love how Hiya is formulated with the help of nutritional experts and is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals. And what was important to me was that this vitamin is not just a bunch of sugar, because some children's vitamins out there are basically candy in disguise. Instead, Hiya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy junk, and yet my 3-year-old loves taking his Hiya Children's Vitamin and Kids Probiotic each morning. So we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on their regular website, so go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy to get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. There's a new kind of health insurance benefit gaining steam in the workplace. More companies have started giving employees allowances to purchase health coverage on their own, rather than offering employer-provided group plans. Supporters of this saying giving employees a health allowance allows people to choose from a wider variety of plans that suit their individual needs. And it helps companies control spending on rising healthcare costs, while still giving workers a benefit many value. Though some insurance experts say individual allowances may actually result in less robust coverage and higher expenses for workers. For example, many plans on insurance markets have smaller networks and higher premiums than group plans offered by employers. For now, these kinds of plans are still a tiny fraction of the health insurance benefits offered by employers, but they have grown by almost 30% in the last year, and experts expect the trend to continue. All right, thank you so much for listening today and for sharing the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.